And welcome back to a special edition podcast, a special edition of the TBI podcast. So, what we're here to talk about today are some takeaways from last night's presidential debate between former President Donald Trump and Vice President, Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris.
That was railroaded in despite democracy in the Democratic Party.
Yes,
So,
I will. I will accept that. I will definitely accept that. I was trying to make it colorful. I was trying to make it, I don't know, a
hey
little bit
man,
of a
it's there's always gonna be a shot fired when I'm around. So it just is what it is.
So let's talk about what happened last night. I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
I mean, it just solidified why I don't listen to debates in general. I personally don't think they have a great deal of stake, even though I will say it did move my needle a little bit, which I'm sure we'll get into. But I was listening to VPN, which is a substation from NPR. For those who are not paying attention, I'm pretty sure you know what VPN is.
Mhm.
Um, there were one caller, they kind of questioned whether the debate even mattered, and they had a brief discussion about that. And I came to a similar conclusion after listening to what they had to say, and that's that the debates are really more for undecided voters than anybody else.
That's true.
Because I mean, you're not really going to hear anything you're not expecting if you're already a follower of one or the other, or in our case, we follow everybody. So it's like, so yeah, there weren't really any surprises. I mean, from my point of view, Kamala still managed to not be specific about anything. I mean, she did well goading Trump into being Trump. Because I was looking at him and it was kind of funny because almost like the whole with black people like, oh, you speak so well. Like I was like, look at him up there looking all presidential and dignified for about 5 minutes, maybe eight, maybe eight. And then she got under her skin, and then it was off to the races after that. And then we
Yeah.
saw the Trump we saw, and there were a couple of off ramps for him, in my opinion, where he could have saved himself.
Yep.
One was shutting the hell up. The other one would have been to say, well, actually, there are three. Not also him confirming that he did in fact lose the vote for the last presidential election 4 years ago, and also that he had an opportunity to denounce January 6th attacks. And I think they even went into Charlottesville too. I think they
Yep.
mentioned that briefly too. So yeah, he had four opportunities to speak to, and three of those were really our major sticking points of some people that aren't so sure about him for obvious reasons. I think now at this point, and since I know I'm not voting for him now, I'll be comfortable saying up until yesterday, I was actually I was like 51% going to vote for him. Even
Mhm.
though I know he's a security risk, but because my concern primarily is the economy. And I do consider him the closest to the more peaceful of the two candidates, the less hawkish, if you will. We know he doesn't want to be involved in Ukraine at least. And there's even doubts that he would even go that far out of his way to defend Israel. That far. Yeah, sure,
Mhm.
he would, he wouldn't like try to restrain them or at least cut or temper them like the current administration is half-assing doing.
Mhm.
But he also wouldn't. I don't think he'd necessarily feed the beast either. Certainly not in any way that's going to expend American assets, and that's not going to be compensated for at least. But
Yeah.
yeah, the dude that just keeps doubling down on stupid, and I can't, and I'm afraid I just can't vote for that, despite the fact that I am confident that his economic policies and frankly his thuggish nature will help keep the peace and help improve the economy. But I'm still not likely to vote for Kamala either, especially since she's not willing to even articulate any specific policies.
Well,
So at this stage, I know where I'm voting, and it can be either one of them.
yeah. I just want to speak to kind of that first thing you were saying was like who's the biggest beneficiary of the debates? If you're a supporter of Trump, this does nothing for you. It does nothing for him. I'm surprised he even agreed to it. He had nothing to gain from this. And, well, no, I tell you about he had nothing to lose. Say that correction. He had nothing to
Okay,
lose
yeah,
doing
yeah.
this. Um, but given who he is and how he operates, he wasn't going to extract any value from it either. He could have. He missed several opportunities to really, hit back at the things that she was saying, especially on the economy, right? There was very little said. There wasn't enough said about the economy, which is what most people are worried about. Of course, she smacked him around on abortion, on climate change, social justice, that sort of thing, as expected. But on immigration and the economy, those were opportunities that he had really shine a light on the fact that she didn't have a whole lot going on there, didn't have a whole lot of meat on the bone, and he left the money on the table. I mean, in my opinion, I don't think that the debate format gives candidates really an opportunity to talk in depth about any policies. But I think there's enough time in the 2 minutes for you to give a reasonable answer to convince potential voters, swing voters, independent voters, that there's some substance there and you're going to hear more about that, right?
Well, that 3 minute window, she could have done it.
Oh, yeah. She she did say, we're going to have investments in small businesses. What did you say, 50,000?
50,000, yeah.
Yeah, for small businesses, 25,000 for first time home buyers. Mm. But other than those things, I'm not sure what her economic plan is. And so if she's serious about moving forward and engaging more moderate voters, more people closer to the center, she's going to have to flesh that out. So if I'm her, while I would be pushing for a second debate, because I think she did very well from a debate standpoint, she could extract some value from a debate later on in October if done correctly. But she needs to do one-on-one interviews to give good reporters. Not, I don't want to see her go like on MSNBC, somebody clearly to the left where she's going to be comfortable. And I wouldn't necessarily wander into the lion's den of Fox News either if I'm her. But
She should
like,
talk to like Cuomo or somebody.
yeah, like a Washington Post, maybe the New York Times, BBC might be a stretch because I mean, British Broadcasting Company, that doesn't make sense for a U.S. presidential debate. But something closer to the center, something that's where there's not like a clear affinity for the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, and you're always going to have some slight biases. But I think if you can get kind of close to the center, you'll be fine. If she can find that platform and give them a nice like 2 hour one-on-one interview where she talks about her policies and what she's about, then I think she could really impact the numbers, right? But this debate does nothing for poll numbers. We already talked about this on the pod. I mean, the people who are going to engage in polling, for the most part, are already kind of decided. And when you talk about undecided voters, I think that they're clearly leaning in one direction or another. There's very few people that are kind of just like, "Mm." um. So yeah, I think she kind of cemented herself with her debate performance. Like people feel like she can, stand up there, that she can be a president. But I don't think people are like they didn't learn what they wanted to learn about her. They learned some things, but not what they wanted to learn about her. So she's got an opportunity. She's a capable debater, but I think some opportunities were missed. And for her, some money was left on the table.
My final thought, though, is that I feel like Trump lost the debate more so than Harris won it. Uh, just to your point, she showed up prepared. She showed up like an attorney general should. But she showed up
Hmm.
prepared, just not prepared in the ways that we needed her to be.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, definitely. The difference in preparation was clear, was abundantly clear. I think she did what she should have done for the most part. Just a little bit more on the economy, a little bit more around immigration and what she really wants to do there. If she could have given a more humanitarian answer around immigration, where she says, listen, even something, Obama esque or even Biden esque in the humanity of whatever her immigration policy will be. And hey, listen, we're going to secure the border. We're cutting it off. We're going to deploy more resources there to make sure that illegal crossings decline dramatically. But for those people who are here, who are working, who are with family, we're going to have, XYZ option to move you towards citizenship, right? And I think that would that would really speak to immigrant communities and the people who support immigrant communities And to people who have concerns about the border and immigration, I think people will be okay with that. But then she just got to get her numbers together on the economy and get it out there. One thing I did want to ask you was I saw that the squad and the progressive left were not happy with how safe her debate was. They felt like she could have punched a little bit harder. What are your thoughts on that?
Felt like she should have been a little bit more restrained, but I don't know. I don't particularly care. I yeah, I mean that really was it. I really have nothing else to say on the debate, but I don't think that she I think she should have reeled it in back a little bit because if she has a poker face, she didn't show it. I don't think she's ever really shown much of one anyway. So there's that.
Yeah. Well, I think sometimes what the progressive left is missing here is that in order for her to win this, if she moves too far to the left, she's going to alienate the people in the center. So, and she needs them to win. And if she doesn't, dance between the raindrops, she's not going to get those votes. So people either are going to vote for Trump or they're going to stay home. She can't afford for anybody to stay home. She needs people to get out off the couch and into their polling locations. So very interesting. Wasn't the end all be all by any means, but Trump did what we pretty much expected him to do, and she pretty much did almost what we expected her to do, which was win the debate. But I think she left money on the table. So for a special episode, this isn't bad. Continue to check out this guy Justin from Richmond and what he's got going on the socials. You can tap into the stuff that he's doing. Check us out at 2blackpod@gmail.com. These episodes are going to be up on Spotify, YouTube, and
the talk.
The tick of the talk.
And sometimes I put on X if that's your thing.
And find us on X. But thanks for joining us for this special episode. Justin, any salutations and parting words for me?
You know what? I would like to leave y'all with just a little tiny quote that I read earlier today. A little bit of that knowledge for you. Okay, well, that's not the one I was looking for, but we're just going to roll with it anyway. The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. Walt Disney. He knew stuff. He did stuff. We'll roll with it.
The Alpha Mouse gets some stuff done. I like it.
Yeah, there was a really good quote on action versus inaction, but I was hoping that was going to come up when I opened the app again, but it totally was not the case. I will share that app with you offline, Jamal. I think it's pretty cool so far, but I haven't finished doling out. But they called it the TikTok for smart people, which is pretty pretentious, but it's really just a learning app that's supposed to help play social media, but kind of mimicking like how it works and how it goes and stimulates the thumb and the brain to redirect that energy. So maybe we can talk about that at some point because there are a couple of like off politic issues that I want to get into. I just can't remember what they are off the top of my head. So, but look forward to those, y'all. Check those out, and we'll catch y'all next time. We'll be back next Tuesday unless something crazy happens, which I'm not expecting because the world's so damn boring. Come on, Iran, do something. All right.
No, Iran, if you're watching this,
where's my World War III?
Do nothing.
Damn it, man. I'm bored.
Do absolutely nothing.
All right. Peace.